Hello. Okay. So first, we're gonna talk about quite a few things. We're gonna talk about my hair. We're gonna talk about Bible reading. We're gonna talk about bringing amoebas. But first, we're gonna talk about how the food's been going. So I talked to you guys, and I was like, right now this is where I'm keeping my calories, and I know that it's not healthy, right? Of course, that's what we had. That's the conversation we had. So I'm going to go through and tell you guys that on Thursday, my because the end goal was to get to 1,200, like to 1,200 calories, right? And I was saying underneath 1,000 because I was having a very hard time with control. So I'm gonna go through. It was like I guess now the goal would be to be between 1,150 and 1,250. Like it's hard to hit like a dot right on the head, but anyway. So starting on Thursday, I was over 1,000 calories. On Thursday, I was at 1,167. On Friday, I was 1,042. Saturday, 1,241. Saturday was a rough day because I worked out a lot. Like I did an hour Zumba and I ran a mile and a half, and I was hungry. So, and then Sunday, yesterday, 1,049. So I am above the 1,000 mark, which is kind of scary for me, but it's working out well. Um, I think it's moving towards being healthy. So, but still staying in control and making good choices. That is what the goal was, and that's how it's going. I weigh myself tonight. Well, I don't weigh myself. I go and I weigh myself as a part of a Zumba weight loss challenge, a 30-day Get Fit challenge. Um, so I'm interested in that. I will, of course, post a weigh-in. Um, and then we're supposed to set some goals for ourselves. And it's kind of a hard thing because it's like I want to set like a 10-pound goal. 10 pounds in 30 days is kind of a lot. Stop, pay. But at the same time, I feel like it's kind of doable. So, like, let's see. That would be like, I don't know what my calorie would have to be. 10 and 500 equals 1,000 divided by 30. I'd have to have an average calorie deficit of 1,166. That's kind of a lot. Um, Obviously not on days when I work out, but on days when I don't. And I really don't want to put myself into a situation where I'm like freaking out about working out every single day and it's not fun. It's all about like killing myself. So when I weigh in, I guess I'll set my goal and figure that out. There you go. So, up next, I don't even know. Let's talk about hair. So I like curly hair. I naturally, um, I straighten my hair. I do not straighten my hair. I don't put that much work into any of it. But like when I wash my hair, if I want it to be straight, I blow dry it. Like I brush it and blow dry it, and it'll be straight, right? And once I straighten it, it stays pretty straight. But the humidity down here, I have like curly hair. I had curly hair as a child. I have some curly hairs. What my mother used to do, and I think I've talked to you guys about this before, was go through as a blend of straight and curly hair, and she would find the curly hairs and snip them so that I would have this, like, she called it a halo. It was like a flippin' hair helmet, like right around my head, like long hair with a hair helmet. It was so not okay. But that that makes my hair want to curl. My hair is like, hey, curl me. And it's like, no, because that's too complicated. So Ashley came in last October, and Ashley curled my hair for me, and I fell in flipping love. I was like, oh my God, Ash, this is so awesome. She taught me how. She also taught me how to blow dry my hair, which is a whole other story, and it was life changing. So if you're from the 90s, 80s, the 90s, and you're flipping your hair to dry your hair, you're doing it wrong. So just putting it out there. And you're supposed to blow in the direction like of your hair so that it's smooth. Because see, what we all were taught was to flip our head over like, and that is really great for the 80s when you wanted big hair, but you know, there's healthier ways of getting big hair, because if you really want big hair, you can get it volumized without like blow drying the opposite way and getting your hair all frizztastic. But anyway, yeah. So when I started blow drying my hair in front of Ashley, her face was like, and I was like, what? She was like, what are you doing? It was horrible. So anyway, so she taught me how to curl my hair, and doing it her way, I can curl the front, but I can't curl the back. And even when I curl the front, like I run a really big risk of like burning myself. So there's this thing called the Conair Curl Secret, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to have that. And it looks like this thing, and you take like little pieces of hair and you put it in, and it eats the hair, and it's like, and then it releases the curl. Now, so I was talking to Ashley about it, and she was like, I don't think that works on long hair that well, and looking at the different things, like, yeah, it probably won't. So I was on YouTube, and I was trying to figure out, like, I was trying to find a long hair curl tutorial for the curl styler to see if it would work. And I found a handkerchief curl styler tutorial anyway, instead. Basically, you take your hankies, and they look curled, but it doesn't really matter. But I folded them like into a bunch. I folded them in half and then folded them up, right? So they're like this big. And then you flip it in half. And you section your hair and you wrap it around each side. I just did two. I did one on each side. And so it gave me like 4 curls. And then I slept in them. My hair was dry. It was not wet. I didn't have any product in it. I slept in them. And then the next morning, I took them out and I separated them. I just gently pulled them apart. And I didn't just pull, I like worked them apart so they wouldn't frizz. But seriously, dude, it took me 10 minutes to put them in. I slept overnight, and this is day 2 of the curls. Yesterday I went to church and I had my hair fixed. So I'm looking forward to making a curly pony to work out in. It'd be so fun. I mean, hello. It's so fun. I'm gonna ruin my hair. Yeah, it's gonna be so fun. So anyway, that's how I did my hair curly. And I'm pretty flippin' happy with it. Like, I didn't burn at all. And that's amazing. So, yay. Yay. Alright. Okay. So, here we go. Here's the next thing. Brain-eating amoebas. These things are not in order of importance, actually, just to let you know. Brain-eating amoebas. Down here recently, there was okay, I don't know if you guys know about this thing. It like lives in fresh water, fresh warm water, and it goes up your nose. Excuse me. It goes up your nose where your olfactory bulb is connected to your sinuses, and it gets to those nerves and it starts eating. Okay. It's very, very rare, but in the past couple of years, it happens more and more in the southeast area of the United States. Generally, if you get it, you die. Up until, I think, 32 years ago, only 1 person had survived. Since then, there's been 2 more. So 3 people have survived out of like 120 or 30 cases. Okay. I'm telling you all that to tell you this. Recently, in my parish in Louisiana, a child got ill and has died because of it. A child from Mississippi was visiting down here. He was playing on a slip and slide. And people are like, well, this doesn't make a lot of sense because he wasn't in fresh water. After several hours of the slip and slide, because down here we're below sea level and there's so much moisture in the ground already, and this amoeba lives in water, but in the sediment, like the top layer of sediment. So after the hose water that was on the slip and slide was mixing with the ground and making like a mud puddle, right? This amoeba was able to live in the ground because of the amount of groundwater that we have, because the soil is so saturated it could live there. So when the hose water and the groundwater made a mud puddle and it started to kick up, it was in the mud mix, and the child got it in its nose, and the child died. I'm telling you that because a friend of mine and I are supposed to do a mud race, which is going to be nothing but mud that they're going to make by blending hose and ground. And I'm a little freaked out about getting it up my nose. And normally when I say wildly ridiculous things to my wife, she has a very loving way of calming me down and being like, that's not a good idea. Well, this morning I said to her, that race that we're supposed to do is a mud race. And she was like, where's it at? And I was like, it's, at Zephyr Stadium. It's like right there in Metairie. And she was like, no, you're not doing that. And I was like, what? Because I really thought she was going to be like, don't be silly, it's going to be fine. And she was like, that's just not in the cards at this point. That would be ridiculous and kind of dumb. So now I need to tell my friend I can't do it. We haven't paid for it yet, but I feel weird being like, I can't do that race because it's raining amoebas in the mud. But at the same time, like, what do you think? Like, I'm honestly asking, like, what do you guys think? Because it seems like, I don't know, it just seems crazy. But I would feel kind of dumb to do it. So, I'm very confused. Very. And that might be why I feel like I have kind of a somber attitude. Because, like, I don't even know, like, how to even address that. We're drinking all of our water because they're like flushing our systems with chlorine. It's very serious, and they're reacting very seriously. So it's kind of weird. Like, it's like on one hand they're going, oh, you should be fine. It's so rare. It's so rare. It's so rare. On the other hand, they're saying, but it is happening more and more down here, and we're gonna flush our systems with chlorine, and we're gonna be extra cautious. So it's kind of like, wait a second. And then I was talking to somebody who was like, I feel like they're giving everybody a false sense of security, and in essence, maybe people aren't taking the precautions they should because it is something you can prevent, but you need to actually take the precautions to prevent it. And I was like, ooh. So it's all up in my brain. I'm trying to figure it out. So there's that. And the final thing, and again, these things are not in order of importance, but the final thing is how I read my Bible. Now, I'm talking to you about this because I am doing an online Facebook Bible study with Stacey. She was like, hey guys, this is what I'm doing. And I was like, oh, it's so fabulous. Currently, I am reading several books. They're not Bible, but Bible type books, Christian type books. But as far as like a Bible study, I was like, this should be fun, And she picked Matthew, which I love the book of Matthew. So by today it was like Matthew 1 through 3. By Wednesday it's 4 through 7, stuff like that. So I'm just going to talk to you guys really quick about how I read my Bible. And this is not at all a how-to or how you should. But when I do Bible studies or when I'm reading my own Bible, what I do, because like often in Sunday, they will give you readings throughout church. And I'll be like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Or, oh, that's an interesting way of putting it. Or I never really thought about it that way. So I have 4 Bibles. But you don't have to have all these Bibles. There's a website called BibleGateway.com, and it's really great for a Bible study or for like getting more information. If there's something you're really interested in the Bible, if there's a part that you're like, I'm not really sure about that, you can go in and you can type into it like Genesis 1 verse 7, right? And then you can pick which Bible you want to read. English Standard Edition, the King James Edition, the New King James. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it kind of gives you all the different languages, which is kind of neat. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about right now. So this is what I did. I grew up with the King James Version Bible. So the first place I read is generally in the King James Version, or this is the New King James. It just kind of takes some of those B's and downs and changes them. Some people are really upset with that, and that's understandable. I personally think that it's kind of cool. I mean, if you're reading the Bible in anything other than Hebrew, you're reading in a translation, and translations at some point people picked which word to use. Like a group of scholars picked it. So there are other translations that I personally don't believe there's a right and a wrong. There's a multi-kaleidoscope of truth. And it is always good to learn all the aspects of it so that you can, in your heart, really form a thought about it. So I start here because it is the most familiar one. It's the one I grew up with. Because it's not so gently written for us modern brains, I will then usually go to this Bible, which is the New International Version. Okay, so in this one makes it it's a little bit more Englishy, it's a little bit more modern speak. And then after I have a pretty good grip on what the Bible is saying, I go to this one, which is the Contemporary English Version. This is not a word for word. They will often be like where we were saying Genesis 1:7. Let's just read. It might be like Genesis 7 through 15 is covered in this paragraph because we wrote it as a book and not necessarily as a word for word, verse for verse translation. They are very clear about explaining that to you. They are very open. Like, they're not trying to pass this off as every word from the Bible translated perfectly. They are like, this is a very contemporary version of the Bible. And they're like, it's straight up the way it comes across, you know, stuff like that. So they're very and they tell you whenever they bridge things together, and they let you know if they're like leaving out or kind of like making it into one thought. And so if I read it and I'm like, well, wait, you know, I can always reference back and say, this is what it originally said, and this is what they turned it into. It helps you get the thought sometimes, like when your brain is reading the Bible and turning the words over, like, what? Because sometimes you'll get, like, I'll get that in the Bible, and it's like, just something about the way they phrase things, my brain can't move past it. It's like, whoop, reset, whoop, reset, whoop, reset. I will read this and go, oh, that is the idea they're saying. Like, okay, now I get that. And I'll go back and I'll be able to read past it. So that is how I read my Bible. Also, I have the Story Bible, which is like the Bible written as one continuous story. And if I would have known that we were going to do this, I would have read. I've already read Matthew in the New King James Version, but if I would have known, I would have read it in the story, just to have the story in my mind, and then I would have done this. So that's how I read the Bible. I find it fun. It's kind of like the best research project ever, and it's not even like for a teacher, it's for yourself. That's fun. Okay, tomorrow I will update on what I read, and we'll formulate a plan and go from there. And oh, and maybe tomorrow I'll put those handkerchiefs in my hair so you can see it happen. That's fun.